And this is The In Show. And I'm your host, Gus Summers. Good to be back with you today. That's right. We are broadcasting live from the Sunset Strip in our In Show studios from the entertainment capital of the world, Hollywood. And we have a great in-studio guest, Miss Alicia Gore. How are you, Alicia?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Enjoying the beautiful day. You look very cool in your lovely blouse and everything. I think you appropriate attire for this time and day.
Absolutely. Well, it is scorching outside, as you know.
It is. I enjoy those beautiful days. The only drawback is that there's no cloud covering, so the sun just bears down on you. But you look out, it's beautiful. If you're in the shade.
Yeah.
And it's not bad today. What do you think? It's about 89, not quite 90 yet.
Getting there.
I might be wrong.
It's 1 o'clock, so I mean the sun is at its highest point, right?
I was going to say my thermostat. My internal thermostat might be off, and of course, we're in a big building right in the middle of the coolness of
Yeah, and you're blessing me with your AC here, so I'm happy.
It's funny. Have you ever traveled the Middle East? You enter the pyramids, or it reminds me of what they would call those old ziggurats. Those old cities, and they had those big structures where you would go in, and as soon as you go in, it's instantly cool.
Wow.
And it's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Because outside it's scorching 110 or what have you, and you go in, it's like, okay, I'm cold.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think it is on here. I try to keep the lights low.
Yeah.
So when you enter, it's kind of dark, but of course you walk outside.
Well, I've never been to the Middle East, but I know that they wear those very, very light clothings. It's it's
Egyptian
super light
cotton
material.
and such.
Yeah, exactly. I've been to India, but they didn't have that.
Have you really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I was there this year.
Oh, for location shooting or just a little travel?
Oh, I wish it was. Actually, I went to this 7-day wedding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, fantastic! And then for the last 2 weeks, I was touring the South and stayed in a tree house and in the middle of the jungle.
Did you really?
Exciting. Yeah.
Did you have the nets and everything so nothing would fly in there? No,
Didn't
just
need
open?
them.
No.
Didn't need them.
Oh, look at that. How was that? No, you had any unexpected guests underneath your pillows or?
No, we had elephants outside though.
Yeah, okay.
That was. Maybe half expected, but not so close, It was great.
Were they the traveling elephants, or that you journeyed upon, or were they just elephants thereabout, and the way we have a stray dog here
Elephants that lived in the jungle and saying, hey, you're up my tree, and I'm going to eat this tree.
Isn't it amazing? You're a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I know you do your own scouting. When you go to a different country, the culture shock at times. Because, you go to another state, they may talk a little different, have a little, different way they handle their life. Maybe things close earlier.
Right.
But when you go to India, here's an elephant,
Right. I'll tell you what's interesting about that, where you say, maybe they close earlier, that kind of thing. India has its own particular timing on everything. So, for an example, you might want to build something, and they'll say, let's do it tomorrow, I mean, you're like, but I need it today. It's like, well, nobody's available, so let's do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow they'll tell you, let's do it tomorrow.
That's it's funny you say that because it makes me laugh. Again, each country. But there was a story I heard about John Huston, and I'm trying to remember the movie, but they're on a shoot somewhere on a beautiful island, and everyone would be ready for the shoot. He'll come out and say, it's a beautiful day. We'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then, I'll just go to the beach. I'm trying to remember the movie because it was way over budget and blah, blah, blah. But it's,
Right.
That's great. Has there been a location that was, really off for you where it's like, wow, this is vastly different? This location I want to shoot at? Has there had an experience like that?
I will tell you one story is I wanted to shoot this music video for Help for Orphans. Yeah. I ended up doing 2 PSAs for Help for Orphans and a 3-minute documentary. A friend of mine had written a song for the organization called One Child. And basically, just beautiful song. You can actually listen to part of it if you look at our PSAs. But I had wanted to shoot a whole music video for them. And I was looking for yellow flowers. I looked everywhere, high and low, for yellow flowers. And, I Google searched it. I went, obviously I was in India. I was everywhere, and all I found of yellow flowers, I would have had to go super far. Like in Texas, I found some yellow flowers. I mean, fields and fields of
Well, I was
yellow
going to ask you,
flowers.
did you want a field of yellow flowers?
I wanted a field of yellow flowers.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted a big piano put into the field.
Okay.
I wanted children and the singer and the songwriter, and I wanted all these things. And everywhere I called, they're like, it's just not the time for yellow flowers. We
Right.
just don't have them.
Right.
I was like, come on, this has got to be, and then I had people saying, well, we can do CGI. And I was like, no, it
Right.
has to be yellow flowers, Anyway, I ended up not doing the video. We ended up doing other things for them, and that was totally fine. But it still is on the back of my mind, every time I see a field of yellow weeds, by the way.
Yes.
Weeds.
Okay.
There are weeds all over California. They're yellow. And I'm like, oh, that would be so nice. And then you walk in there and they're sticking to your legs,
right.
and you're just like,
Yes.
oh no, this is not it. So, but I intend to do this sometime in my life, is I'm going to shoot this music video with the yellow flowers and the piano and the children.
And as soon as everyone says cut, you're like, oh,
Yeah, exactly. Take them out. Take them out of your legs. Oh my gosh.
So that's a great story. So you saw all these, that you go running in there, beautiful yellow, ouch.
I walked in there, But you got to be careful also because of snakes. And, oh my God.
Right. Yeah, we got the rattlesnake out here.
Exactly.
You go hiking? Oh, we're totally off tangent here.
It's okay. I do, and I mean, even my husband was like, "Don't go in there."
Yeah, right.
There. I mean, when I went hiking in up to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
And embarrassing story, but I don't care because
Okay.
I will tell all my embarrassing stories. I really don't care. I really needed to go pee.
Okay.
And there was this point where I was just like, okay, there's nothing anywhere, and there's this little outstretch of just,
Yes.
field or whatever it was,
Right.
weeds and everything. And there is like a little fencing, and you'd have to walk over the fencing, and I'm like, I gotta pee. So I kind of like make the motion that I'm going to climb over this fence where nobody can see me and just squat in this stupid
I love it.
little place by the Hollywood sign. Anyway, Byron's like, no, there are snakes over there, and
Right.
you can't do that over there. And anyway, so the people start walking by, and they're like, no, you don't want to go over there. I'm just like, well, obviously not. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to hold it.
So did you hurry back down to the car, and that was it?
I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. It was like, it comes to a point where your bladder just says, all right, I give up. It's okay.
Yeah, right, right. It's funny because, you make me think about times where it's like, I got to go, and it's like, you have to climb something. It's like, I don't think I can climb it. I think any motion, it's forget it.
Exactly.
That's great. It's funny. You bring up stories like that. One of the things I love about storytelling is you're a writer, you're a producer, director. You do all these wonderful things. That our lives are so enriched with these little stories, and a lot of times would work perfect in a movie, but don't get used a lot. And sometimes, they do and they don't. I don't know, 50-50, I guess. And these little stories where it's like, oh, that's great. I would love to see that in a movie, because you're like, oh, I remember doing something like that.
Yeah.
A human point of view.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so great about my movie, Chocolate is Not Better Than Sex.
Yes.
It
And I have to agree.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's my segue.
That's okay.
That's your job. Oops. Well, first of all, there is a lot of personality in that movie. You know, a lot of humanity, and I think that's why people are going to love it, because there's those personal stories that people can really relate to.
Yes.
And okay, I don't have my I have to go to the bathroom story, but I've got some great other stories that are really ring true for a lot of people, and that are true for me.
Yes.
You know, and I think that rather than try and go completely off the wall and just make something so unrelatable and so just out there that nobody has experienced it, you bring people back to earth, you know, and say, hey, this is what has happened to me, and I have thrown my little pinch of, you know, salt and pepper in there and mixed it all up and put it in this movie so that people can laugh at it. Right. Because I'm completely happy and perfectly fine with people laughing at my own life. And I've got, I've sprinkled a few things of my own in there, you know, and I think that because it's relatable and because it's down to earth, people will laugh at it and they'll love it.
You know, it's funny, and I always tell everyone, you know, when you look at a film, to me, it was, I love to read. You know, I love to collect books, old books, and everything. And I tell everyone, when you look at a film can be like a good book, because it's someone's experience and, you know, their take on life. You know, by the time we see it, it's probably like 7, 8, 9, you know, writers, you know, in putting everything. But, you know, a good movie can be like a good book where it can be profound and life-changing. You know, what's your approach? Like on this film, you know, what was your approach to, you know, give, you know, a film that people can look to and laugh and, you know, cry and gain something from? Is that kind of your approach?
I think that's just my approach in life. Yeah. You know, personally, I love to make people laugh. I think laughter is very healing. And why would it be important for me to create something that people are going to feel pain afterwards or make them mad or, you know, I mean, I might completely change my tune in 10 years, who knows? But, you know, I really love to make people laugh, and I've always done it, and I've always wanted to make people smile, and whether it's through, you know, making fun of myself or showing them something fun or, you know, just, that's the type of creation I want to make. It's really important to me that people are happy. Right. So.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I learned, you probably know the same story about Dr. Cousins. How he cured himself with, you know, laughter.
Oh, I heard. I heard there are like little yoga laughter camps and stuff.
Yeah, literally. I remember when I read this 20. I shouldn't. That he cured himself. He had an I don't remember the illness, but he was a doctor. He had this illness, and all he did, he goes, you know what? I know laughter rejuvenates the body, and he went and bought or rented or whatever back in the day Marx Brothers movies, and all he did all day was sit there and laugh, and literally he healed himself through laughter.
Wow.
And it's funny because I love comedies. You know, there's when it's even if it's done absurdly but perfectly, you know, isn't it enjoyable? Don't you walk out afterwards like, I don't know why I laughed at that, but that was great. Is that kind of what you're wanting with your filmmakers? It's like, you know, with your audience, wow, what a great film. You know, I laughed, I cried. You know, this is what I needed.
Absolutely. I mean, why not? You know, we're paying $15 to see a movie nowadays. Why not get the most you can get out of it? You know, I want somebody to absolutely walk out of the theater feeling so good. Yeah. And you know, there are movies, and you're married, so your wife probably does this. Is there will be a movie that when she's ill or that when she's sad, that she will watch over and over and over again. I know my mom does it. I know I do it. Right. And I really feel like that's a healing. Yeah, you bet. You know, there's something that we get out of that just makes us feel so good.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
You know, and I truly believe that, you know, when you're feeling good, you know, that will actually heal you in many other aspects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, do you have a comedy, a drama? Do you have things that make you laugh or inspire you, that you put in, or the movies that come to mind, or do you watch when those moments come?
Oh yes. Well, some recent movies, and I say recent, but it's been a few years for some of them. Okay, last year, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was so inspiring.
Right.
So inspiring. So that's one that I absolutely love. Then there's a one called The Backup Plan.
Backup Plan.
Do you know that one?
The name sounds familiar.
It's with Jennifer Lopez. So, okay, I'll give you a quick scenario.
Yeah, please.
So, she's one of these ladies who just feels like she's never going to meet the one. So she decides to go a step further and get impregnated.
Okay.
So she gets impregnated, and then she meets the guy on the same day.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away. But if you've never seen that movie,
no, I haven't seen it, but
it is hilarious. Hilarious.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there is a scene with midwives in there.
Uh-huh.
And my mom's a midwife.
Oh, okay.
And it's nothing like that.
Right.
Although I will say my mom knows for sure there are some kind of weird midwives out there. So,
right.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But my mom is like this amazing midwife. And there is this midwifery scene in there with a woman in like this little baby pool, and they're all like chanting and everything. And you just, because I grew up with my mom as a midwife, that is just such a hilarious scene to me,
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, movies like that are just really fun, and Bridget Jones is really fun, and I love rom-coms and just they're just so inspiring and fun.
Like back in the day, like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, those kind,
Absolutely.
or a little more. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
Sleepless in
Seattle. You've got Mail.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Hanks. He is awesome. And Meg Ryan, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely. Those older films, I love them. And I love black and white films.
Oh yeah, you bet. You're talking about like Cary Grant, Errol Flynn, and Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn. Come on, what an inspiration. A strong person who, a lot of people, I love to analyze characters. And she's a particular favorite of mine because if you take away she's a strong woman and blah, 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 and you look at her just as a strong person, it's inspirational for everybody because she was defiant. She stood up to, authority and, got her way. You can look at it in a male-female context, but I prefer to look at it as a strong person. And that way it opens the door to anybody. Look at what she did, that person did at that time with all those difficulties and still be able to accomplish. You look at the movie, but you look at her life in general. What a great inspiration.
Absolutely.
I think that, you look at some of those great movies, it's like, wow, what great characters. What are some of your favorites?
Oh, I would say North by Northwest.
Nice.
I'm a big Hitchcock fan.
Okay.
Hitchcock is
Cary Grant,
just,
nice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's see, what else? Oh, goodness. There are just too many. Well, I can say The Rope.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Nice.
Rear Window.
Oh, and Jimmy Stewart. Wow.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Jimmy Stewart is wonderful. And then I also like the musicals.
Yeah, Singing in the Rain.
I do. Oh, yes.
American in Paris. I'm a big Gene Kelly fan too.
Or Audrey Hepburn.
Nice. Nice.
Right?
Yeah. It's funny because I've been talking to people about, you bring up Audrey Hepburn, which reminds me of George Peppard. And what a great actor, because I just saw again maybe last month The Carpetbaggers. He played this son of this, I forgot, wealthy man, and his struggles trying to get out of his father's shadow, because everyone remembers him from the A-Team, nice guy,
right.
But what a brilliant actor. Especially in that, if you see that's amazing. Do you think we still have some of that old Hollywood today, or do you think it's kind of gone its own way?
I don't know, and I wish I could see it.
Right.
Because, that's when men were debonair and women were elegant and
nice.
classy.
Yes, My Fair Lady. Yeah, Rex Harrison.
There was this amazing flair that I don't see today. I have to say it. I mean, I see beauty, but I see it in a different light. It's not classic
Nice.
like it was
Not
before.
classic. Yeah, classical handsome and beauty.
Yeah,
Right.
and like Cary Grant or Errol Flynn. I mean, these were the type of men that Rock Hudson. These were the type of men you look at and you go, wow, man, there's nobody like that now.
Yeah, there was. Do you think it has something to do with? Because I love getting into conversations like that. That it has to do with the studio system, that they wanted to portray a certain image, versus today they're more independent. They're not part of a system. It's just themselves handling their images, and the studios have become more distribution than creating talent.
Yeah, I don't know. It might have something to do with that, but it's also just where we've come.
Right.
Everything that has changed from the beginning of film to now, which is quite some time,
Right.
And we've gone through as a people, this type of evolution where obviously, there was the 60s and that changed things, I myself am very straight and narrow, and so the changes with the drugs and introducing LSD at that time and free love. I mean, I am an advocate of I love everybody,
right?
But not free love. You know what I mean?
Be careful. Yeah, right.
Exactly. And the fact of, I mean, we've gone through as a nation.
Yeah.
We've gone through so much. I think, first of all, Hollywood was created by the film industry.
Right.
California lives off the film industry and always has.
Right.
And we've just gone through so many changes that I feel there's so many different levels where, we've reached a plateau in one case and then we kind of go down and where are we morally? Where are we financially as a state? And where are we responsibility wise?
Right.
I that's why when you talk to me about what do I want, what's my purpose behind my film,
right,
I really do believe my purpose in life in filming and writing is to make people happy.
Right.
So that's my responsibility.
Sure.
And when people go out and do things that they don't take responsibility for, they don't actually take responsibility for the consequences, I feel sad. I feel sad about that. You know?
Yeah, that's funny that you say you say all that because I had a conversation with somebody and we're talking about film and said, well, it's a reflection of the times, how people are. I was thinking about, the 30s, people dressed differently. They actually dressed in suits. Even if it was their one suit, that's what they wore. They washed it and they wore it. And then, you see that reflected in cinema. And now, as you mentioned, the 60s, 70s, you're starting to see a bigger glimpse of American life. And, you look today, it's, again, some of my favorite actors from those days were, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., David Niven, you mentioned Rock Hudson,
Charlie Bronson, how about, I mean, that's a little bit later still, but
Yeah, because you look at, it's funny because, I think about the 60s as you're going in there, and, how things start to change. You look at the Magnificent Seven, you start having Steve McQueen come in, who's,
oh my God, yes.
He has this rugged, he still had this rugged classic look to him.
The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, I know, isn't that great?
God.
I just saw The Great Escape.
One of my favorites. Oh my God, yes.
Everyone was in that, because you see the change, and it just it's different today. And it's interesting because we don't have these movie stars on pedestals anymore. And I've read out an article, something like that, where they said that they're more human because they were talking about ads. Ads, that's what they were talking about, if I remember this article. That now they're pitchmen. they're pitching ads. He said you might have occasionally seen someone, in France pitch something back in the day, but now it's like you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And then he goes, they're now like us, but at the same time they've lost luster. I thought, oh, that's an interesting perspective. They do seem more approachable or what have you, but you kind of get that sense that Hollywood in general has just lost its luster?
That's a really
of course,
great
I
question.
should tell people it's because you've been in the industry. This is what you do. So,
Yeah.
I'm just not asking random questions, everyone.
I think it's a fair question, and I look at Hollywood like, okay, how does the rest of the world see us?
Right.
I think the rest of the world is still looking at Hollywood with still the glamour and the magnificence, and otherwise why would people come to Hollywood Boulevard and the Chinese Theater
Right.
and still flood it for pictures?
Right.
This is where everything began. Okay, not
Right.
everything.
Right. Yeah, in
You
cinema.
can get your
Yeah,
10-minute
sure.
clips, over there at the Chinese Theater.
Yeah,
But,
right.
the point being is we still do have the reputation.
Right.
But what are we doing, to fulfill
Right.
the obligation that
Right.
people see us in this light?
Yeah. You think it's like the grandchild living off the grandfather's success?
It could be.
Could
Could
not
be.
quite.
I mean, I'm not saying that, nobody in Hollywood is
Right,
working as
right.
hard as they were,
Right.
100 years ago or whatever.
Differently, maybe. Differently.
Yeah, they work differently, and the studio system is different. It's
Yeah.
it's no longer trapped to each other,
Yeah, right.
and
I guess it's as we're talking, I guess it's just more the appearance of it, because the system is still the same. They still make movies. You still have actors that, you have your A actors and B actors and so on and so forth. So I guess it's just more the appearance of it. I guess the reflection of what we see.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, there are people around the world who are always going to think that Hollywood is scum and kill the infidels and start with those Hollywood actors. They stink.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it really just depends. We're all individuals, and we could all do something that will create a better future, right?
Yes.
And some of us are not. Some of us would rather just have affairs and do drugs and say, winning, whatever it is, right? I mean,
right.
but then there are those ones who
work.
feel like I do,
Yeah.
who want
Absolutely.
to create wonderful humor and make
Yes.
people laugh and just love everyone and,
Yes.
and just show that they're human. And like you said, are they becoming more humanized to us, to the individual? Well, what about social media?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
now you can tweet to Steve Martin on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
And I love that because I adore Steve Martin. Absolutely adore
great.
him.
That's
Or
great.
Simon Pegg, or Nick Frost, or
Yeah.
you can talk to these guys.
Yes. Again, the
Wonderful.
change. Yeah, fantastic. Alicia, I got to take a quick commercial break,
Okay.
but fantastic. Love having you here and talking Hollywood. I always tell everyone, I'm a big movie buff.
Yeah.
So when you're able to have someone who understands the industry and who's been in the industry and is able to converse back and forth, I just love it. Hey, appreciate you taking the time.
Sure.
To come in. Yeah, you bet. Hey, well, this is Gus Summers, and you've been listening to The In Show. We have in-studio guest, Miss Alicia Gore, and we've been talking Hollywood, her movies, and all sorts of things, and we're going to be talking more to her in our next segment, so you hang in there. We'll be right back. And this is The In Show, and I'm your host, Gus Summers. Good to be back with you today. That's right, we are broadcasting live from the Sunset Strip in our in-show studios from the entertainment capital of the world, Hollywood. And we have a great in-studio guest, Miss Alicia Gore. Fantastic.
It's funny how you say my last name.
Gore. Hey, hope I said it okay.
Oh, yeah,
Just
absolutely.
fancy or?
Oh, it's perfect.
Okay.
It's just the way I explain to people when they say, now, is that gore like Al Gore? And I say, no, it's like gore like blood, guts, and...
Gore. Oh, so I say it perfectly. All right. And- that's like Al Gore. That's great. Yeah. It's really it's interesting when a name becomes synonymous with an event or a person, and that's the person you think of.
Right.
It's like, yes, there are more than just one Gore.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's like, especially in Hollywood, you hear the one name, oh, you all must be related. No, they really are.
We must be. We must be. Because I also invented the internet.
Yes, the super. What is it? I forgot what the old name was.
What, the super highway?
Yes, information superhighway.
Yeah.
I remember when he said that. I'm like, the internet? Is that what you're talking about? It was called the internet then too.
Yeah.
That's great. So, you got your film now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to explore it a little more. The title, and because from so many titles, you could have picked anything really.
Mm-hmm.
What made you pick this particular title? Did you feel like this best represents the film in its entirety? Do you want to have a little pizzazz to it?
All of the above.
Ah, okay.
It's funny because the way that I work, the way that I write,
Yes.
things just come to me. So I started writing the script, Chocolate is Not Better Than Sex. And
Yes.
it just flashed in my mind this time.
Oh, okay.
Chocolate is not better than sex. And I already had the story. So I just started writing. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And in fact, I was chatting with my to-be husband at the time.
Who was eating chocolate? That would be great.
Would've been funny, right? I actually was chatting to him online, because we met online, and I said, "Oh my God, this is so hilarious! You got to read this." And I would send him chapters, little scenes from my screenplay as we were chatting, and he would go, "Yeah, this is funny," and I'd go, "Oh my God, I just thought of something else, let me tell you."
He's all, write it. No, I have to tell you first. That's great. So it just kind of flowed. It was just a natural. So the title was there from the beginning, basically.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's weird. I think that I start out most of my things that way.
Oh, really?
I start out with the title, and it just goes, "Okay, this is it. Here's the story."
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Were you, when you were a kid, were you a big reader? Did you watch movies a lot? Did you, all of the above?
I think I did more reading than movies.
Yeah.
But I definitely was a big movie buff. Let's see, what things can I tell you? So I read a lot of fantasy at the time.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. A Wrinkle in Time.
Nice.
There's so many others. Oh my gosh. The Witch of Blackbird Pond.
Okay.
The Wizard, Children of Finn, that kind of thing. I loved fantasy.
Yeah.
And let's see, movies, obviously Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
I watched TV with my dad. I would watch Doctor Who.
Oh, really?
Tom
Nice.
Baker.
Nice. Oh, nice.
I would watch MASH.
Yeah.
MASH is like one of my all-time favorite shows.
Yeah.
Again, black and white.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. I had the TV that went click, click, click.
We did for a short while. I do remember that when I was a little kid. I do remember that. Gosh, so many inspirational things to me as a kid. I started writing when I was 7, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Short stories, poems?
Both.
Nice.
When I was just starting school, they made us keep a journal. And
okay.
I think that is truly what started it. That and just a love for poetry, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would write short stories, I would write little poems, little haikus, lyrics.
You know, haikus. Boy, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
You learned the structure of a haiku.
Oh, yeah.
Very
That was
nice.
pretty easy. You know, I mean, just,
Right.
it's kind of easy if you have that versus, well, you know, how do I rhyme this or put that together or, you know. So I loved it. I loved writing. I thought I'm going to be a writer
Yeah.
when I grow up. That's
Like
all I
a
thought
like
I
a
was gonna do.
novelist or a journalist or.
I thought I was going to be a novelist.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Obviously throughout my schooling,
Yeah.
I changed my mind, you know,
Right.
several times.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
like, oh, I'm going to be a football player.
Yeah, right.
And I told my dad I wanted to play for the Raiders. You know,
Nice.
He's like, I don't think you can do that. You know, there's not really a girls' locker room in there. And I'm just like, oh man, you know,
Come on.
I really wanted
really?
to play for
Come
the
on.
Raiders.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
And then I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought, ooh, that's
Yeah.
fun. You know.
Yeah, you bet.
And
You watch LA Law and all that?
I did.
Yeah?
Yes. LA Law, absolutely. Then I thought I'm going to be a journalist. But at the same time, when I was 15, I think I started sending articles and poetry into
Oh, really?
magazines and newspapers.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I thought, well, you know, now what do journalists make their money off of?
Right.
And I'm not trying to like badmouth journalists because they have their place. They
Right.
have their place in the world and place in society.
Sure.
But what if there was no crime?
Right, yeah.
What if no buildings caught fire? And what if we didn't have the Mexican mafia and the cartel and gangs and all that stuff and people lived in complete harmony? Whose life would be really messed up
Can
then?
you imagine all the people?
No cops,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah, sure.
And no journalists, right? Because we just have this
yeah,
wonderful
yeah,
world.
sensationalize the world, yeah.
Oh, but hey, as long as we have crime, they've got a job.
Yeah, right.
And I thought, well, no, I don't want my life to be dependent upon there being the next big, crazy, bad, horrible story.
Right. It reminds me of that movie, I Love Trouble. Remember that movie?
It's been a while.
Nick Nolte and Julia Roberts?
Yeah.
They're vying over the stories.
Oh,
and-
yes, okay.
Yeah.
And there's LA Confidential as well.
LA Confidential,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was the journalist movie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you decided just not to go that route?
Not to go that
Well, I
route.
see, it would have been okay, because now all the journalists are turning to editorialists, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's
like,
bloggers.
come on,
there
really?
are bloggers, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's also not where I wanted to go.
So what made you want to, what made the jump to script writing and have you?
It's really interesting. I never told you this, but my great uncle
Yeah.
is a writer.
Oh, okay.
He's
Hemingway?
passed away. Oh, yeah, exactly. Hemingway. Yeah. He's passed away already. He's a sci-fi writer.
Okay.
Wilson Tucker.
Wilson Tucker?
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh. And when I was about 18,
Yeah.
I sent him a synopsis for a story.
Yeah.
And he wrote me a very great letter back, which I've kept all these years.
Yeah.
And he said, why are you killing off your main character?
Yeah,
You know, he's
right,
like
yeah.
going through my notes and telling me all these things. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, you made me see things that I didn't see.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So flash forward a little bit further in my life, and I went to this San Diego Film Festival. And I was there watching all these filmmakers and attending all their panels. And I said, oh my God, this is where I belong.
Wow.
Because I had these stories,
Right.
and there'd be a point where I'd stop and I couldn't push them any further.
Yes.
So I took that story,
All right.
and it was like 50 pages in, and I couldn't go any further with it. And I
Right.
turned it into a screenplay, and I finished it.
Really?
I was like, oh my
Ah.
God, there's a point here.
Yeah.
There is a point here. This
Right.
is where I belong. I suddenly
understand.
felt like
Yeah.
that's my calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then boom, 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 boom. The screenplays came flooding
One
out
right
of
after
me.
another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
So that have you produced that particular film, or will you be producing that film?
I hope to. It's it's funny that I started with that because
Yeah.
it happens to be, it's called Isabella's Letters, and I wrote it as a book too, because
Right.
after I finished it as a screenplay, I was
Right.
able to go back and write the book.
Because you had all the imagery
Because I
and
had
everything.
my
Yeah.
imagery there,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So it's called Isabella's Letters, and it is an adventure novel.
Yeah.
It's a thriller. It's got witchcraft. It's got wars. It's got
Wow, that's kind of a-
princesses. It's got everything in it, right?
Yeah.
Bandits and
Wow.
pirates. You know.
Oh, pirates.
So you can imagine that's not really good for a first film.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, I think
It's probably a
Steven
third or fourth.
Spielberg has to take this one over for me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
So you poured your heart into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. And you brought in everything.
I did. I brought in everything.
That's funny because it's as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about Time Bandits. Remember Time Bandits?
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Was it really?
Yeah, yeah.
I love that movie.
Who doesn't like a bunch of little people in crazy outfits
Yeah. Right.
going through time, causing havoc with British accents? You know.
You know what's funny? You know, it's one of those movies. And I always tell everyone, if you ever want to make anything better, just put Sean Connery in it, and it's better. And what? And I'm a big fan.
Can you do the accent?
Poorly. You can do a very bad Sean Connery. It sounds like more. I have a toothache.
Better than what I can do.
It reminds me of, that's pretty good now. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me when Brando put in the cotton swamps, you know, do the Godfather. So I feel like I'm doing a bad Godfather. I got a little bit I'm getting over my Novocaine, but who doesn't try?
Right.
But in the Time Bandits, I always felt sorry for Sean Connery's character. Why? It's because he was the good king. You know, he wanted to help them, and then they left. I'm like, are you going to go help the kid? I must have been like 12. I remember when I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, are you going to go back and help him?
I just
Funny things you remember, don't you?
Yeah, well, I remember that famous line, "Don't touch it, it's evil!" And then, of course, the mom and dad, you know,
Don't touch
that
it.
started the modern day horror story where,
Right.
you know, here's the banana and here's the gun, and they take the banana instead of the gun.
Yeah.
Or it says, "Don't go this way, the murderer is this way," and they go, "Oh, they go that way." Mom, Dad, don't touch it, it's evil.
Don't go outside the tent. Don't go outside the tent.
I'm still gonna go outside the tent because there's a really weird noise and I want to see what it is. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
you know those classic. You were talking about movies. I just saw. I always say just saw, but it's been a few months. Killer Clowns from Space.
Oh no! I've never seen that. but
You've never seen that?
I've seen the cover of the
And
DVD.
I was watching it, but you when you watch something when you're a kid or teenager, you look at it and you think, oh, this is great. You see it when you're older, and you're like, what was I thinking, right? With different perspective. But I was watching that as a grown up, not too long ago. I'm thinking, it's not that bad. The costumes are pretty good. I was looking at it with a critical eye. Obviously, it's from the moment, from the time, but it's like, they put effort into this. It's not bad.
Sure.
It's not hilarious.
The Blob, right? That was scary.
With
I
Steve
guess.
McQueen or the remake?
No,
with
first
Steve
one, the
McQueen.
black and white.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's like, it's not bad.
And Steve McQueen is in it.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, he went from this to the
the
Magnificent
Magnificent
Seven. That's pretty awesome, actually.
Are there movies that that you've seen, and again you're like, wow, what was I thinking? This is horrible, or this is better than I thought, and you analyze it. I do that. I'll see something that I've seen, like I said, when I was a teenager, and look at it now with a critical eye. It's like, wow, I missed so much.
Well, you say with a critical eye, after I went to film school,
Yeah.
I looked at everything with a critical eye.
Did you?
No, why did they do that shot versus this shot? Or nowadays, you'll see a movie and you're like, what are you doing? Why do you have this lens flare?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that?
technical things.
It looks horrible.
Yeah, right.
And
Nice.
you're just like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? So I, occasionally I have to push myself to get out of that so I can just enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
But let's see, I do have a story. When I was 17, I went to Germany, and I did an exchange over there. So one of the things that I did was I watched that Mike Myers movie. Now it's skipping my mind at the time. Mike Myers. You got to remember the name of this movie. Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. Oh,
okay.
Come on, yeah.
So I hadn't seen it. I don't even know. It was probably already in America, but I hadn't seen it yet in America. So I saw it in German. I speak fluent German, so
Okay.
I saw it in Germany, in Heidelberg. And no, it was in Heidelberg, and I loved it. I laughed all the way through it
Yeah.
in German,
Yeah, right.
with voices that were done by ADR, with foreign speakers. It was hilarious. I came back home. I watched it. I'm like,
It's not that funny.
why did I like this? But I don't know. Maybe the jokes were better in German. I have
German?
no
Yeah, you
idea.
bet.
But
That's great. That's great. It's funny because I remember when I first saw Meet the Parents, hated it, couldn't stand it.
Right.
And I didn't see it for years. It was one of the dumbest movies. Saw it maybe 3 or 4 years later. It was on television.
Yeah.
Could not stop laughing. I thought it was the funniest movie, and to this day, I think it's the funniest movie.
Right.
I tell you, I don't know. Maybe I was in a bad mood. I remember just
Right.
sitting there like, this is dumb. It's
Yeah.
and it's funny.
Yeah.
It's nothing's different. It's not a different version.
Right.
But it was the funniest thing to me. Isn't that hilarious?
Absolutely. And I can think of something like that where I watched Bridget Jones in theater when it first came out. I was at the big Archlight. I don't think it was Archlight at that time, but anyway, the Dome
Yeah.
on Vine, and I hated it. I was like, oh my God, there's too much swearing. And now that I think about it, when I saw the commercials for it, it was different than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
But I watch it today, and I watched it, years later, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think it was because sometimes the trailers can throw you off,
Oh yeah, you bet.
and then you don't get what you expect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you bet.
you got to have the right trailer.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'll disappoint people, even with a great movie.
Oh yeah, you bet. You have so many. You hear that a lot. All the actions in the trailer, then all the funny parts. It's like, what happened to the movie? This, and it's funny because I tried to turn myself off and just follow the movie in real time. Try not to figure it out. Because for me, anyways, just to go along with it.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised or happy at the same time. But sometimes, I figured it out. Then it kind of ruins it for me.
Yeah.
I'll watch something with someone. Well, hey, I'm kind of just watching it.
Right. Let yourself be
So and so did it.
surprised.
Stop it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It's, I seen it. Okay. But I don't know. I just find enjoyment of just following the movie and following and trying to see where the director's going and what the actor is trying to, the hints they're dropping, and seeing if I can figure out and kind of just go with it, not try to be too far ahead. But then why am I watching the movie?
Right.
Just kind of stay with it. For me, I get more enjoyment. I'm
Sure.
just I can't believe he did it. Really, you didn't see it a mile away?
Let yourself be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least we're down to the last few minutes.
Okay.
Wow. But wanted to give you a chance to mention some upcoming projects, social media, Facebook, Twitter, .com, all that great stuff.
Absolutely. So the biggest thing that we're doing right now is this month we are hosting a great big party. It's a kickoff party and fundraiser for our film Chocolate is Not Better Than Sex. It is going to be July 31st at the Vaucluse Lounge, and that is in West Hollywood, 8210 Sunset Boulevard. It's going on from 6 p.m. until midnight. We're going to have red carpet. We're going to have celebrities and models and incredible bands, even a swing dance act. And this swing dance team, they've been on TV. They've gone around the world.
Wow.
They have won, all sorts of great awards.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
and one of our bands also has, actually both two of our bands have had song placements in movies.
Oh.
So it's going to be really exciting. We're going to have a silent auction there. For anybody that buys VIP tickets, we've got these awesome swag bags.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
We're sparing no expense. We're getting everything. It's going to be awesome.
Look at that.
And, if you're free, come down and enjoy a chocolate martini.
Chocolate.
Which they do make.
Da.
Yeah. And just hang out with us filmmakers, and help us make this movie. Enjoy the silent auction, enjoy the DJ, the music, the live dancing, everything. We'd love to have you there. And if they just go to my Facebook page, www.facebook.com/chocolate is not better than sex, they will find the event there, and they can RSVP.
Beautiful.
And it should be pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
So they just RSVP, click going, and if they want to go ahead and buy a discount ticket for general admission is $20, $25 at the door, or for the VIP pass it's $50. And like I said, they can get it online or at the door.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And it's going to be going all night, right? Traditional Hollywood party.
All night, yeah. And red carpet starts at 6, so if you want to get your picture taken on the red carpet, we'll be there. We'd love to see everybody, and
sit there and chat about the film and
And if they want to learn more about the film, www.chocolateisnotbetterthansex.com.
Wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. And you're looking to have it out next year? Is that what your goal?
Yes, we're shooting in December.
Okay.
So I am going to get the super editor.
Nice.
Super editor with superpowers.
Nice.
To get it done for me, next year. Yeah.
And we were just talking about editing too and everything.
Yes.
And there is magic power there, isn't there?
I love making movies, but my favorite place to be is on set, on the production.
Behind the camera and everything.
Yes.
Make sure everything's...
Yes. That's where I long to be, not in the editing chair. I've done it before, but it's tedious work, and I want to leave it to the experts.
and just supervise to make sure it's the film that you want.
Yeah, of course. I'm there. When they've got a cut for me, I'm there. I'm ready.
Fantastic. Yeah. Look at that. It's been such a wonderful time talking with you. I love your enthusiasm, your knowledge of Hollywood, of course. And, just thank you for taking the time. I know you're busy. You got your event coming up and so many other projects. And congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
And send wonderful juju to you. And
I'll take all the wonderful juju I can get. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alicia, again, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, well, this is Gus Summers, and you've been listening to The In Show. We had in-studio guest, Miss Alicia Gore. Of course, you can visit her on Facebook and Twitter and look for her film, Chocolate is Not Better Than Sex. And I tend to agree. And you can, of course, find out more about her upcoming event coming up at the end of July and all the things that you need to know about supporting the film. Of course, you can look for us at theinshow.com and look for us, of course, on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Flickr. And, of course, follow us. Do whatever you like there. But just let us know what's going on. Of course, you can hear that interview on our site as soon as we get it up. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Gus has left the building.